Good morning. Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. At 12:30 Eastern Time, the President and the First Lady will participate in a military Mother's Day event in the East Room of the White House. Mother's Day, of course, is 4 days away on Sunday, May 10th. This, as we're monitoring breaking news this morning, as the founder of TBS, TNT, along with other networks, including CNN, Ted Turner has died. CNN started in June of 1980, but it was the breaking news of the tragic NASA Challenger explosion that really cemented 24/7 cable news coverage, breaking away from the traditional evening news networks. Of course, CNN these days is fake news, but the network's focus on breaking news early on gets respect from many in the broadcasting industry. Turner was 87 years old. On Truth Social, President Trump had this to say about Turner's passing, quote, "Ted Turner, one of the greats of all time, just died. He founded CNN, sold it, and was personally devastated by the deal because the new ownership took CNN, his baby, and destroyed it. It became woke and everything that he is not all about. Maybe the new buyers, wonderful people, will be able to bring it back to its former credibility and glory. Regardless," the president says, however, "one of the greats of broadcast history and a friend of mine. Whenever I needed him, he was there, always willing to fight for a good cause." President Donald J. Trump. Once again, Ted Turner has passed at the age of 87. Before we dive into more news of the day and the 24/7 news cycle, on a much lighter note, I took a few minutes last night creating a few AI-generated grok photos of what Donald Trump International Airport might look like, including that photo right there. That's one that the grok came up with. Pretty cool stuff, as that would be maybe the entrance, maybe inside the airport. This would be what that would look like. I also created something else, a boarding pass. Okay, so it's not a real one, of course. It's an AI-generated boarding pass with DJT on there from Delta Airlines. Pretty cool stuff. Kind of fun to do that. AI is pretty cool. I don't trust it fully yet, just being honest, but it still has a lot of great attributes and can do some real great work, I believe. You're looking live, of course, into Washington, D.C. right now, the great Jefferson Memorial right there. It is 11:03 Eastern Time. We have a lot to get to here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Before we get to more, speaking of photos, a patriot by the name of Trish emailed us at feedback@rsbn.tv after we asked patriots from across the country to send us any patriotic photos, maybe at their house, outside their house. Well, here is Trish's from her home. I believe this might have been taken during Christmas time. We may have that photo. If we don't, we can try and talk about this a bit later. There it is. So, Trish, we want to thank you so much for being a local and a loyal viewer of RSBN. So if you'd like to send your patriotic photos anywhere you're watching from around the country, or maybe you're overseas and you love America, if you want to send us the flag picture, or this is awesome. If you look at the bottom right, one of those ornaments, it says freedom with the red pickup truck with a tree in the back and all the things. Well, you can send it too if you'd like. feedback@rsbn.tv. Thank you, Trish, again for sending that in to us. Let's go now to a few notable moments of the Vice President's speech in Iowa.
When the President of the United States asked the entire Congress to stand for the simple principle that the people's government ought fight for the American people first, what did we see? We saw every single congressional Democrat sit on their hands. They didn't care about you. They didn't care about the people of this district. They didn't care about the farmers or the factory workers or the people who actually make this country run. Because now we have in Washington, D.C., a Democrat Party that is so focused on illegal immigration, that is so focused on people who don't have the legal right to be here, that is so focused on fraud because so many of their friends get rich from fraud that they forgot to look after you. And whatever your political views, whether you're a sensible Republican, independent, or even a sensible Democrat, because I know we got a lot of those in Iowa, not in Washington, D.C., I think that you deserve to have a president of the United States and a congressman like Zach Dunn who fights for you every single day, and that's what he's been doing. ladies and gentlemen, people have asked me, I'm the leader of the fraud task force in Washington. And people have asked me, is that a hard job? And I say, well, finding fraud in the federal government, it's kind of like fishing in a barrel with dynamite. Every week, I get a report from the task force. We have our weekly meeting, and I am shocked every single day by the things that we find. Just one of the all-stars on our fraud task force is our great Agriculture Secretary, Brooke Rollins. And Brooke has found out that we've got 355,000 people on SNAP benefits receiving double benefits, that we've got 186,000 dead people getting SNAP benefits, 186,000 dead Americans getting food stamps right now. Now, I know the fake news media is going to say that the big headline from this speech is J.D. Vance proposes that we take away food stamps. That's what they're going to say. I actually think that we should take food stamps away from dead people. I'm guilty of that. I think that's a reasonable thing. I've got my six-year-old because last week I took his little sister on a trip, and he was feeling a little jealous. And, when he's a kindergartner, it's not like missing schools, no offense, but one day of kindergarten is not going to cause him any problems. So he came out with me today, and we've had such a good day, and it's just been an amazing thing. I always enjoy coming out and doing events like this, but to do it with your 6-year-old son by your side is really an amazing thing. But as it happened, when we landed here in Des Moines, or at the airport there in Des Moines, we met a couple of Gold Star families from Iowa. And a couple of you probably know this, maybe all of you know this, that in, what's going on in the Middle East, this operation in Iran, Iowa has borne a heavier burden maybe than any other state in the union. This great state has lost about half of our KIA. And I know that you all will join me in saying that we love them and we're proud of them and we're praying for them every single day. Thanks, sir. But also on the tarmac, a couple of Gold Star families met me, a couple of families who've lost people just in the last 9 or so months, one in Iran and then one in Syria about 9 or so months ago. And I was talking to them, and one of them told me, I had no idea, I didn't plan to see them, but they were here, and of course I was honored to see them. It's an amazing thing as a Vice President of the United States to meet the parents and the families of the people who put on a uniform and sacrifice their life for this country. And so I'm always happy to do it, always honored to do it. But one family, and I won't use their name, I don't know how political they are, if they're political at all, but they told me that their son's birthday was today. And so I get in the car with my little 6-year-old, and I look into those big eyes. His eyes remind me of his mother's eyes. And I think to myself, what an amazing blessing it is to be able to be a father in the freest and most prosperous country anywhere in the history of the world. And I thought to myself, what would I say? What would I say if this beautiful 6-year-old boy got older and decided, like his dad, to put on the uniform of his country, and like so many of you here, decided to put on the uniform of his country? And I thought to myself, on the one hand, I'd be so proud of him. I'd be so proud of him. But on the other hand, I'd be so terrified that what happened to those two families would happen to this boy. And it hit me that every time we lose somebody, every time somebody goes overseas and sacrifices their life, every time that a person gives the ultimate sacrifice to the United States of America, we often read about it as a line on a newspaper or online, but there's a father, there's a mother, and there's a grandma and aunts and uncles and a whole crew of people who love them the same way that we all love every single member of our family. And you take that love and you set that on one side, and you consider the balance that all of us owe. Because on the other side is we have to meet their sacrifice by carrying something forward that they can't carry forward. We have to make this country worthy of that sacrifice. You remember that movie, Saving Private Ryan? It's one of my favorite movies. And at the very end, right before one of the soldiers takes his last breath, he looks up and he says, "Earn this." What he means is all that love, all that was taken away from those families, all that was taken away from so many of the people who put on the uniform and sacrificed for this country, we have to earn it. Now, so much of that is how you live your life. So much of that is, Congressman Zach Nunn being a good husband and father and his beautiful family here. I think, what, you guys have 6 or 7? 6. She is a saint, Zach. She is a saint. Part of that is how we go to work and treat our employees and what we build and make with our hands and with our minds. Part of it is how we go to church and give back to our community. But part of how we earn that incredible sacrifice given to all of us is by making this country's politics and government worthy of the people who put on the uniform and will never see their loved ones again.
All right, so some excerpts of the vice president's speech. He was in Iowa yesterday. He voted also in the Ohio primary, of course. Vice President Vance from Middletown, Ohio, voting in that primary. And we talked about that earlier as well, just yesterday or within the week, how important that is just to get out for the primary votes, let alone the November 3rd election, but also to get that candidate that you want in there. Hopefully you're out there doing that all across the country. And I believe it's June 2nd for California. So we'll be talking about that gubernatorial race there as well, coming up in the weeks to come. All right, let's go to a few of our sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network, including MyPillow.com. You see it right there, 80% off, up to 80% off. The warehouse moving sale, a ton of great products, as you guys may know. And if you don't know, at least try MyPillow.com/RSBN. So many different products, from the pillows to the sheets to the towels to slide slippers, coffee. What else is out there? The dog beds, all sorts of stuff. Check it all out. The warehouse moving sale, save up to 80%. If you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate. You see that website at the bottom of your screen, rsbnetwork.com/donate. And to those that have been donors to the network over the years, thank you so much for doing so, especially those that have also sent checks to our P.O. Box, which I can share that with you here quickly, 1550 Opelika Road, Suite 6, Box 344, Auburn, Alabama 36830. All right, it is 11:13. This is RSBN Live. Let's continue on. Let's go now to a video posted by Secretary of War Pete Hegseth about faith in America.
Our founders knew 2 simple truths. Our rights don't come from government. They come from God. And a nation is only as strong as its faith. On May 17th, we're heading to the National Mall to celebrate America's faith. I'm personally inviting you to rededicate 250. It's a national jubilee of prayer, praise, and thanksgiving on May 17th in Washington, D.C. It's a time to unite, a time to give thanks for victories, and rededicate this republic to God and country. Join us for this historic spiritual revival. Get your free tickets today at freedom250.org.
And that event, of course, May 17th in Washington, D.C. Let's go from the D.C. region to Missouri, but specifically probably on Capitol Hill as well. I'll share with you what I mean. Meantime, Missouri Senator Josh Hawley recently shared a message in front of a local church. Here's a portion of that right now.
The world tells the church, stay put. The world says to the church, stay within your walls. Go within your churches, shut the doors, don't talk to anybody else, don't do anything else. Certainly don't talk about Jesus in public. Don't witness in the workplace. Don't take your faith into the public square. Don't take it into school. Don't take it anyplace else. Just stay nice and quiet, nice and dependable. Stay within your churches and be silent. There's a whole body of thought in this country that has raged now and developed for 50 and 60 years, called sometimes the philosophy of neutral public reason. What it just means basically is practical atheism. We have been told for decades now, the world has been telling us that this is a secular nation, that liberty is an inherently secular thing. that the church must remain within its bounds, that the public square needs to be shorn of any religious language. You know, the Supreme Court actually had a decision back in the 1970s, a doctrine that it observed for decades and decades called the lemon test. And the lemon test is about as good as its name suggests. It was a real lemon. That's a joke. Now, come on, you got to work with me. I'm a lawyer. I mean, it doesn't get funnier than that. So, you know, the lemon test said that if there's any law that has been adopted by a state legislature or the United States Congress, this is a Supreme Court test now, that relies upon scripture or religious doctrine or religious justifications, it may be unconstitutional. The lemon test actually asked, is there a secular and independent ground for a law? Because if there's not, if all we have are religious principles, why, that would violate the Constitution of the United States. That represents the world saying to the church, stay put, stay out of it, leave it to us. The problem is, that is not what this country was founded on. The problem is, that's not what the Constitution says. Can I just tell you what the truth is? I hope you know it, but if not, let me be clear about it. This country was founded on the gospel of Jesus Christ. This country was founded on the truth of the Bible. This country was not founded on some Enlightenment secularism. It was not founded on a series of neutral principles, whatever those would be. This country was founded on the truth of Scripture, and I could be more specific still. This country was founded on a covenant. And I don't mean primarily our Constitution. I mean something earlier and older than that. I mean the covenant that the first settlers took, those brave Puritan men and women, when they sailed aboard their ship called the Arbella in 1630, coming to Massachusetts Bay. What did they do? Before they set foot on dry ground, they took a covenant together and they said, we shall be as a city set upon a hill. The great John Winthrop preached this sermon to that band of Puritans. He said, covenant with me, brothers and sisters. We shall be as a city set upon a hill. We shall be a godly commonwealth. We shall choose to live together under the ordinances of the Lord. And ever after, the Puritans would ask themselves, for what purpose did you come across the great ocean into the howling wilderness that they called America? Was the purpose for money? No. Was it for trade? No. Was it for gain? No. Was it for honor? No. What was it for? To observe the ordinances of the Lord, to worship the Lord in the freedom of their consciences, to worship the Lord according to the dictates of Scripture. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what this country was founded on.
Thank God for that. Let's go to a few of our sponsors as well. Here, All Family Pharmacy. When it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple: access, control, and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. So you've probably experienced it, those long wait times or packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. And the part of simple or simplicity is you go online, you choose what you need, and you fill out a short medical form. It's safe because a licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate, and it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish, and they offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from everyday maintenance medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. So there's no confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code at checkout to save that 10%. A great American independent pharmacy right there, All Family Pharmacy. Later this month on Memorial Day weekend, specifically on Sunday, May 24th, from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, visitors at Arlington National Cemetery are welcome to place a flower at the tomb of the unknown soldier. This is during the Flowers of Remembrance Day. Here's a video about the event. And so once again, that screen that you saw there at the end, it's on Memorial Day weekend, specifically Sunday, May 24th from 8 to 4:30 Eastern time. And we can take a look at that as well if you'd like. We see it right there. That is happening at the, you meet the Tomb Guard at 9 o'clock. There's a history talking tour at 10. So just go to arlingtoncemetery.mil.mil. So that's information for you if you're in the region and you'd want to stop by there. Recently, Doug Collins, the Secretary of Veterans Affairs, visited a VA hospital in Grand Junction, Colorado. Let's check it out.
Hey everybody, it's Doug. I told you we're on the road this weekend here in Western Colorado with Congressman Hurd. It's great to be with you out here, but also great to be in Grand Junction. Grand Junction is one of our great facilities out here that maintains what I've talked about all along. Standards. Standards matter to VA. When you have a 5-star facility like this one, it means that the veterans are getting exactly what they need. And it's just something special when you see a community and a hospital come together like we have at Grand Junction.
This guy is full of energy. As a VA secretary, he's running around this entire hospital. We had to keep up with him. It's like 90 miles an hour. He has his 2 priorities. Number 1, veterans, and number 2, the employees who take care of our veterans.
Hey, and as I say, as the song says, on the road again. Never know where I'm going to be. See you next time.
Grand Junction, Colorado. Shout out to all of you on the western slope of the Rocky Mountains, just east of the Utah border. Arches National Park right there. Gorgeous part of the country as well. As you guys know, it's a little bit of a hidden gem. My first TV market was Grand Junction, Colorado. It was market 187. Got that job back in 2005. Beautiful, beautiful hiking. Aspen's not too far. Telluride. It is, don't get me started on how beautiful God's creation is in that part of the world. So if you've ever been to Grand Junction, Colorado, or Silverton, or Arches National Park, beautiful stuff. Have not seen the Grand Canyon yet, so it'd be great to do a trip where you land in maybe Grand Junction, you check out this town called Ouray, where you can be in natural hot springs. I remember doing that one time when I was working out there, and it's 102-degree water. It was snowing. You're in the mountains. These experiences, I love Western Colorado. One more quick story. In Aspen, the Winter X Games was there. Shaun White doing the half pipe thing with the snowboard. I don't know. I love that part of the world. Don't want to move there, but I definitely would like to visit again with my family, and we will. I keep telling them, let's go. We got to go to Colorado. They're probably sick of me saying that. Anyway, a little bit about me. Let's go on now to Acting Secretary of Labor, Keith Sonderling, recently posted a video about the National Small Business Week that we're having this week. So let's take a look at clip 8.
This Small Business Week, the Department of Labor honors the innovators, risk takers, and job creators that power our economy and keep the American dream alive. Under President Trump's leadership, we're advancing a bold mission to revitalize small businesses, cut red tape, and unleash American entrepreneurship like never before. We are strengthening our nation's workforce and expanding opportunity by putting American workers and American job creators first. Our team is focused on expanding apprenticeship opportunities nationwide and delivering on President Trump's executive order to have 1 million active registered apprentices, creating pathways to good-paying jobs and building the skilled workforce our small businesses depend on. We're also proud to partner with Administrator Kelly Loeffler at the U.S. Small Business Administration. His leadership is driving growth, innovation, and new opportunity for small businesses across the country. As Acting Secretary of Labor, I'm traveling across America, meeting with small business owners, hearing their stories, and making sure they know the Trump administration is working tirelessly to support them, their workers, and their futures. This historic administration is building a future that's more prosperous, more competitive, and full of opportunity for every American. Because when American small businesses are strong, America is strong.
A couple beautiful images there of the flag there at the wherever that was. And then how about the pizza getting taken out of the oven? Real quick side note. Pizza, I wish it was healthy. I would eat it 3 times a week if it was. Anyway, let's move on to some of our sponsors. Kalshi.com/RSBN. You have the QR code right there. You can go to the Kalshi app. You can download that at your app store. or you can go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. A ton of topics to bet, trade, and check out the polls on. Some of the things that are trending right now, the LA mayor's race. Spencer Pratt has spiked there after a viral ad, but has dipped a little bit back down after Kamala Harris endorsed Karen Bass. The Texas State Republican primary, the May 26 decision, coming down to the wire there, so we're going to be monitoring some of that. Also, California Governor Xavier Becerra has recently overtaken Tom Steyer when it comes to the gubernatorial race on the Democrat side of the aisle. Of course, on the right side, you're looking at Steve Hilton, of course, endorsed by President Trump, and also Chad Bianco is running for governor there, the Riverside County Sheriff. So we'll see what happens. That primary date is nearing, I believe, June 2nd or June 9th. I have to double check that fact, but those of you in California, I'm sure know, so please double check that one. Speaking of primaries, just yesterday we saw the vice president in Ohio speaking there and speaking in Iowa, but while he was in Ohio, he was also voting in that primary election. So very important to vote in those primaries. I think of someone like John Strand down there in Florida with an interview recently talking about the importance of that, because you want the right candidate to get to that November 3rd spot, then vote on that person as well again. So it's kind of 2 votes for that person, one in the primary, one at that midterm election. I know a lot of you know that information, but it's always good to kind of talk about common sense things, especially when it comes to saving the nation. Specifically, of course, we know about that when it comes to Save America Act, but we'll talk about that later. As we know, it's kind of stalled in the Senate right now, but let's go to one of our other sponsors in the meantime, Cove Pure. You've heard us talk about Cove Pure before, and if those water scares in Flint, Michigan and East Palestine, Ohio weren't enough to get you to make the switch, well, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. There are man-made chemicals used in food packaging and nonstick cookware and firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there, they don't break down, and then they're linked to a number of things: hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But here's the part that is making a number of people upset across the country, because the EPA did the right thing by setting legal limits for PFAS in drinking water back in 2024, but the water systems around the country have until 2031 to comply. So it's 5 whole years from now. Until that deadline arrives, the utility can be operating above the legal limit right now, and they don't have to tell you. You're just drinking that water then. That's why every single household needs Cove Pure. The government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it yet. Which means if you want clean, healthy water without that terrible aftertaste when it comes to tap water, you're going to have to take care of this yourself. Cove Pure was actually engineered exactly for this. Now, unlike the normal pitcher filters that you see at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants. So those PFAs or the heavy metals or fluoride or pharmaceuticals, this machine will filter particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pure is they make this whole thing very simple. It sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in, and you can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, warm, with a tap of a button. So don't wait for 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepure.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of this broadcast, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepure.com/RSBN. As it's the bottom of the hour, 11:30 Eastern, as you see on the bottom of your screen. Thanks again for live streaming in. In about an hour from now, we're going to go to the White House. We're going to see the president. We're going to see the First Lady as well, as they hold an event there in the East Room of the White House, specifically all about military mothers, right? So it's a Military Mother's Day event in the East Room of the White House. Of course, Mother's Day is 4 days away on Sunday, May 10th. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side Broadcasting Network. We have a number of live interviews on deck, and we will be going to those in just a minute. But let's go now to the Midwest, as the U.S. Department of Transportation is highlighting the work they're doing in Missouri.
Secretary Duffy just announced his Freedom to Drive initiative, directed at addressing those most congested choke points across the country.
Improvements in our interstate system really is the key to moving commerce in and out of our country.
We're building 4 miles of new pavement, which is going to improve the reliability, the safety, the durability of the interstate for all users.
Partnership is a key word, and it starts at the federal level.
Our Forward 44 project is a great example of trying to make our interstates work, make them reliable, make them safer, and doing it fast.
Well, you're moving at the speed of Trump, and we love that. Thank you, and congratulations on all your success.
All right, so the U.S. Department of Transportation working there in Missouri, of course, all across our highway systems out there. Speaking of highway systems, if you're looking to donate to a great cause, we have the story for you. Pennsylvania cyclist John Hoffman, who also happens to be my brother-in-law, is traveling coast to coast, raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. Here's that interview in case you missed it. And let's now go to a patriot in Pennsylvania who's cycling from coast to coast, all to raise money for St. Jude Children's Hospital. John Hoffman joins us from South Central Pennsylvania. John, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Thank you.
Definitely. All right, so let's talk about this. Tell us about the trip. What was it that you kind of said, you know what, I have to do something like this? Why are you doing this?
Well, St. Jude's Research Hospital, that's something that has, for a very long time, just, I don't know, it's just a charity that's really struck a chord with me. And I was at a place in my life post-COVID, kind of figuring out what I wanted to do after all that craziness of pandemic. And to be honest, I was praying one night and I felt God just put it on my heart that He wanted me to raise some money for these kids. And just the method, it just cycling across the country just seemed like a really cool and awesome thing to do, and something that was in my wheelhouse, no pun intended. But yeah.
It sounds like you have that adventurous style of spirit. I know talking with you, you've done a number of these, like not really a triathlon, but you're that type of guy. You like the adventure aspect of things. But talk to us about the start. When are you starting? Where are you starting? And then you're going all the way across the country, and then where are you ending up there?
So on May 7th, I'll be departing from Yorktown, Virginia, and I'll be taking the Trans-American Trail across America, and we'll be ending somewhere either Florence or Astoria, Oregon.
Okay, so from Virginia to Oregon, that's interesting. It's almost like that Oregon Trail in a way. Pretty awesome. Yeah. And you think about it too, the fact that you are doing this where people can give a donation directly to St. Jude's, but through your cycling across the country. So it's not money that goes to anybody else except for directly to St. Jude's, which is awesome. And then we talked before, this is going to be during America 250. So do you know where you'd be in July? When will the trip end? And where will we be July 4th?
I wish I could say exactly where I would be, but I'm assuming somewhere right in the middle.
Okay, so maybe Kansas.
Probably Kansas.
Good stuff. So how do you go into training for something like this? What's it like to prepare for this mentally, emotionally, and all the things? I'll tell you, I know that I couldn't. I could try to ride to cycle across the country, but it takes a certain kind of person to be able to do this. So tell us about that.
Well, it's like anything. You just gotta make your mind up to start, and it's the little things every day, little choices. I had done a few trips earlier, increasing distance. I did in preparation last year the Great Allegheny Passage from Pittsburgh to Cumberland, Maryland, and that was a really good experience just to check my gear and make sure everything was all secured and what I needed, what I didn't need. And while that was only a 3-day trip, it did give me a lot of experience, and I have utilized back roads around here in Dillsburg, Pennsylvania to familiarize myself with my bike and all its gear and just try and condition myself the best I can.
Yeah. I understand that you've participated in marathons, the Spartan race. Have you participated in Tough Mudder as well?
Absolutely. I just did my first Tough Mudder recently in Slippery Rock. It was a really fun experience. A lot of great people.
Yeah, definitely. And so this is obviously for a great cause. So can you tell the people that are watching right now, how can people donate to St. Jude's Children's Hospital toward you in the way of your coast-to-coast trip? How does that all work?
Absolutely. The fundraiser itself is called Hope on Two Wheels, and it will be a Facebook page as well as a Instagram account that you can follow. There will be pictures posted periodically, and there are links to the fundraiser itself on those socials.
Okay, so it's hope for what was it again?
Hope on Two Wheels, the word two.
Okay, so Hope on Two Wheels. Now, we'll put up a QR code. I believe we'll be able to put one up on the screen there. So if people were to use their phone right now, that QR code would take them directly to the St. Jude's site for your specific campaign. Is that right?
Correct. Yeah, it'll take you right to the fundraiser page.
And that's probably the best way to donate. As again, this is all proceeds, 100%, right, going to the hospital, correct?
Absolutely. I am an unsupported cyclist, and all the money I raise goes directly to St. Jude.
And that's awesome. And it's great to see that it goes with that QR code and the website links to St. Jude's Hospital. Finally, just your thoughts about, the fact that these kids are in these hospitals and they're dealing with all sorts of ailments, and it breaks people's hearts. It's not easy to kind of watch and hear these stories, but that must be what drives you as well to do this act, to go from Virginia to Oregon starting on May 7th.
Absolutely. The thing that impressed on me so much is that these kids are in the greatest fight of their life, and you see them being kids. They're going through such great trials, but it doesn't stop them from spreading joy and having a smile on their face, even though they're going through something terrible. That they don't stop living. That just inspired me so much.
That's awesome. Well, good luck to you, and people can follow you on there as well. Again, John Hoffman joining us from Pennsylvania, getting ready to go coast to coast for St. Jude Children's Hospital. Thank you again.
Thank you.
Great to interview my brother-in-law right there, John Hoffman. He's leaving tomorrow. So tomorrow from Virginia all the way to Oregon. Again, this is something he's feeling called to do, but also those QR codes goes directly to the St. Jude's site, and it's part of the campaign that he's doing. So that QR code, if you'd like to donate, just scrub back on that and use your phone. And if you're watching on your phone, maybe you have another phone, there's other ways to get the QR code directly to it. So great stuff there. Before we go into some international news headlines, including a post from President Donald J. Trump, let's go to some of our sponsors here on Right Side, including All Family Pharmacy. Specifically, when it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple: access, control, and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. You've probably experienced it. You have these long wait times, packed waiting rooms. Dealing with insurance and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to this American independent all-family pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple. You go online, you choose what you need, and fill out a short medical form. It's safe. A licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. Now, they offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from everyday maintenance medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. No confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN10 promo code at checkout. You'll get that 10% off as well. Shifting now to Birch Gold Group. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. So you saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And you know what else is a limited commodity? Gold, of course. They mine it out of the ground, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now, through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 in qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, you can text Trump to the number 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Just text Trump to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, text Trump to that number you see on your screen, 989898. All right, let's go to some of our international headlines. If you're just joining us now, of course, we've been live since about 11 this morning. Let's go to President Trump's Truth Social post on clip number 11. Assuming Iran agrees to give what has been agreed to, the president says, which is perhaps a big assumption, the already legendary Epic Fury will be at an end, and the highly effective blockade will allow the Hormuz Strait to be open to all, including Iran. If they don't agree, the bombing starts, and it will be, sadly, at a much higher level and intensity than it was before. Thank you for your attention to this matter, President Donald J. Trump. And of course, in our nation's capital, the Save America Act, so far, it looks to be stalled in the U.S. Senate. So hopefully that picks up steam as the midterms are slowly approaching. Let's go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson joins us once again live. Thanks so much for joining us, Abigail.
Yeah, great to be with you.
You too. So the question for you. We finally are at the point where DHS is fully operational. What's your reaction to what was the longest government shutdown in U.S. history?
Well, as you and I have discussed many, many times at this point, frankly, it's ridiculous that the Democrats decided to play politics with the safety and the security of the American people. And while you're right that the shutdown has ended for the majority of the department, there are still long-lasting impacts that the Democrats have inflicted upon the department. Over 1,000 TSA officers totally left the workforce. It's going to take time to hire and train new TSA officers. Security preparedness ahead of events like America 250 and the FIFA World Cup were put on the back burner. The Coast Guard had to literally turn the lights off at some of their stations across the country because they couldn't pay for utility bills, and FEMA disaster relief funds were nearly depleted. So now DHS is kind of left to pick up the pieces and deal with all of that, and the Democrats are just moving on and pretending like they never did this.
It's unbelievable to see it, but it's great to see DHS more at the fully operational standpoint. Shifting gears now, let's talk about a number of things from Illinois and Tennessee. I understand Governor J.B. Pritzker at it again, spewing ridiculous political rhetoric. And then on top of that, according to Axios, the Democrat representative of Tennessee's Stephen Cohen recently said, quote, if we had a different president, we wouldn't need the security measures that they are proposing. In fact, if he just stayed in the White House, we wouldn't need the security measures, end quote. What's your reaction to all that?
I mean, I think it's deeply concerning that the Democrats are doubling down and tripling down on their insane rhetoric, inciting violence against the president, when this is a man who has survived multiple assassination attempts in the past few years. And, the most recent one at the White House Correspondents Association dinner was, a very, very short time ago. And already we're seeing Democrats come out and blame the president for the attacks against him by deranged radical leftists. I think it's just shameful rhetoric from the Democrats, and it just goes to show you that they will never learn and they will never stop.
It seems like at the core of this, I mean, it's, good versus evil, but specifically truth versus lies. And isn't it good to be a part of a White House on the right side of history? Of course, there's lots of work to be done, but still, it's better to be there than under like Kamala Harris.
Oh, absolutely. And not only would I say that, but I think the American people would wholeheartedly agree with that. They have a president in office who, despite these attacks from the Democrats, from people like J.B. Pritzker, who say, we want a sanctuary city. We don't want federal law enforcement to remove violent criminal illegal aliens. The president is not backing down. His administration is not backing down. One of the president's key promises was to instill law and order in the country when he was elected, and he is doing just that in Chicago and also across the country. Look at Washington, D.C. He's taken lots of action in our nation's capital to make it safe and beautiful again. And so all of these Democrats spewing dangerous, hateful rhetoric, it's just noise for this administration, because ultimately the president keeps moving ahead and delivering for the American people.
So let's shift from Illinois with Pritzker and then this representative in Tennessee to Connecticut, where the governor recently signed a law there that ICE agents aren't allowed to wear masks. How ridiculous is that?
I mean, again, I think it's totally misguided from the Democrat Party that instead of focusing on the criminal illegal aliens who are terrorizing American communities, because yes, while the border is closed, we are still dealing with the consequences of Joe Biden's border crisis and the illegal aliens that he let into this country. And instead of focusing on that, Democrats have somehow turned their attention to the brave law enforcement officers who are trying to clean up their streets. It's totally misguided, and really it's dangerous, because ICE officers are already facing a huge increase in attacks and assaults against them because of lies like this from Democrat leaders. And Democrats should be working with federal law enforcement to make their community safer, not against them.
Exactly. So question for you. So the president on Truth Social just yesterday posted a logo of NICE instead of ICE, right? So the National
Yes.
Immigration Customs Enforcement. So I'm going to put you on the spot. Thank you again for joining us. But is that going to be the new name?
Well, I wouldn't get ahead of the president on any announcements he may or may not be making. But I will say, and what I think the American people agree with as well, it's pretty nice, the work that they do. I can't think of anything nicer than getting dangerous criminal illegal aliens out of American communities. And we're really appreciative of the work they do every single day.
Awesome. I agree with you there. And also on top of that, another logo prior to that post, the president re-truthed on Truth Social, and then I saw Eric Trump's post, and then on X as well, the new logo for Donald J. Trump International Airport. How nice will that airport be with all the upgrades? Think about the restaurants, the music being played in the terminals. Your thoughts about that?
Well, look at everything that President Trump touches and sets his mind to, and it turns out beautiful. Look at the work he's doing to the White House and to D.C., making it beautiful again. And I think the American people can expect just the same there. And how awesome is it that the American people want to honor our president and highlight his accomplishments even while he's still in office? It's great.
Pretty cool stuff. The airport code is now DJT. So good stuff. White House Deputy Press Secretary Abigail Jackson, thanks again for joining us here on Right Side.
Great to join you.
Thank you. So great to hear from the White House press secretary there in Washington, D.C. And speaking of DJT in the airport, before we get to our sponsors, Director, can we show a couple of those clips from earlier, the pictures? I created a couple AI-generated images last night. Took about 5 minutes. Grok's pretty amazing when it comes to a lot of things, but specifically these photos that you're about to see, this is one that I just said, all right, DJT airport, that kind of thing. It created that sign there. Also, I think created something from the inside, DJT, pretty cool stuff. And then I said, well, create a boarding pass with the airport code DJT. So Pretty cool stuff right there. AI meets Donald J. Trump International Airport. All right, so let's move on. It's 11:50. We're about 10 minutes out from the top of the broadcast here in the sense of the event that'll be held live and about 40 minutes actually from now. But of course, there's some more live interviews coming up here on Right Side. Let's go to some of our sponsors in the meantime, including Kalshi.com/RSBN, specifically a number of things that people are following there on Kalshi, including the LA mayor's race, the Texas state Republican primary, and of course, the California gubernatorial race are some of the things that people are putting money on the line for, and also just checking out polls. Obviously, the California gubernatorial race is going to be quite the one to watch. Will we get a Republican back into Sacramento there? Arnold Schwarzenegger was the last time we had a Republican. That was some, 18, 20 years ago. So we'll see if it's Steve Hilton or Chad Bianco or whoever, but hopefully somebody that's on the right side of history out there. Anyway, Kalshi.com/RSBN. Go to the QR code if you'd like. You can download the app, or you can just go to Kalshi.com/RSBN. Let's go to Cove Pier as well. You've heard us talk about Cove Pier before, and those water scares that happened. Remember Flint, Michigan, and East Palestine, Ohio, with that whole train derailment situation? Well, if that wasn't enough to get you to make the switch, this might, because more than 176 million Americans are drinking tap water with PFAs in it. They're man-made chemicals used in food packaging, non-stick cookware, firefighting foam. Scientists call them forever chemicals because once they're in your body, they stay there. They don't break down, and they're linked to hormone disruption, immune damage, and increased cancer risk. But here's the part that is making a number of people upset because, the EPA, they set legal limits for PFAS in drinking water back in 2024, but the water systems around the country have until 2031 to comply. So that's 5 years from now, and until that deadline arrives, a utility can be operating above the legal limit right now, and they're not required to notify you. So you're just drinking that water, and that's why every single household needs Cove Pier, because the government knows these chemicals are harmful enough to regulate. They're just not making anyone act on it quite yet. So, which means if you want clean, healthy water, you're just going to have to do this yourself, and you could do that with Cove Pier because this company has this product that was engineered exactly for this. Unlike the normal pitcher filters that you see at the store, their Clearwave reverse osmosis technology is certified to remove up to 99.9% of contaminants, PFAS, heavy metals, fluoride, pharmaceuticals, filtering particles hundreds of thousands of times smaller than a single human hair. And the best part about Cove Pier is that they make this so easy. It sits right on your countertop. You don't have to drill any holes or call someone in to install it. You just plug it in, and you can even get whatever temperature water you want, hot, cold, or warm. But this isn't just tap water that's hot, cold, or warm. This is through the filtration system. So you have filtered water as a tap of a button, hot, cold, or warm. So don't wait till 2031. Take control of your water quality right now. Head to covepier.com/RSBN. And because you're a viewer of our network, you'll get $250 off right now. That's covepier.com/RSBN. Great sponsors here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We're approaching the top of the hour. Looking forward to some more live interviews as we get ready to go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue. We'll be going back to the White House in just a minute, as we know that this morning, actually this afternoon, at 12:30, the President and the First Lady participate in a military Mother's Day event in the East Room of the White House, as Mother's Day, of course, is 4 days away on Sunday, May 10th. And I'm not trying to score cheap points here, but I think Mother's Day should be every day. Let's be honest about that. Especially I see how my wife is we have now 2 babies. It's a full-time job just doing what she does. And it's more work than I'm doing. And that's not fair. So I got to step up my work because literally it's 24/7, as you know, those of you that are mothers out there. So really looking forward to seeing this event. And also we're going to have a great host that is a conservative host out there that will be joining us to talk more about this event as well. Shifting gears, this is as we're monitoring breaking news this morning, as the founder of TBS and TNT, along with a number of other networks, including CNN, Ted Turner, has died. CNN started in June of 1980, but it was the breaking news of that tragic NASA Challenger explosion that really cemented 24/7 cable news coverage and breaking away really from the traditional evening news networks. Still, CNN, of course, these days, as President Trump has said, I mean, it's still fake news, right? But the networks focus on breaking news early on gets respect from many in the broadcasting industry. Turner was 87 years old. And to my point here, President Trump said this on Truth Social. Ted Turner, one of the greats of all time, just died. He founded CNN, sold it, and was personally devastated by the deal because the new ownership took CNN, his baby, and destroyed it. The president says it became woke and everything that he is not all about. Maybe the new buyers, wonderful people, the president says, will be able to bring it back to its former credibility and glory. Regardless, however, one of the greats of broadcast history and a friend of mine, whenever I needed him, he was there, always willing to fight for a good cause. President Donald J. Trump. It's 11:56. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Back to Side Broadcasting Network. This is RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. Thanks again for live streaming into this broadcast, but also those that watch on replay. Maybe you're watching this hours later after the event. Thanks so much for doing so. And those of you watching from coast to coast, East Coast time zone, of course, the West out there, the Central time zone and the Mountain time zone. Thanks so much for watching here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. We don't take it lightly that you spend some time with us day in and day out here on Right Side as we're continuing to cover the news and have live interviews and, of course, live events, which we've been doing since 2015. Joining us now is conservative host Eden Gordon-Hill to talk with us about today's Military Mother's Day event at the White House. Thanks so much for joining us.
Absolutely, Matthew. Great to be back with you. It's an honor to talk about our amazing military mothers.
Yeah, it is. It is awesome. And I know that you also, your husband served in the military. So let's just talk about Mother's Day overall, but also the specifics from the military perspective. It's a little bit different, isn't it?
Absolutely. So I am a veteran spouse. My husband served 23 years in the United States Army, and I love our military community. I love being around our military community, but it is different than being a civilian. And I absolutely love being a part of seeing our retirees, but then also seeing our active duty spouses and our active duty and those who are serving. It is something very special. It replicates the American spirit. It reignites the patriotism. And it just brings back the focus of America 250 on what this country was really founded upon, and the power of putting on the full armor of God. The Judeo-Christian principles is exhibited through our warriors who are on the front lines of freedom.
And then, so when the warriors are on the front lines of freedom, when the spouses are back here in the country, is there like Facebook groups? I'm sure there's groups that everybody can work together and still have socializing and all of that, right? Can you dive
Absolutely.
Can you dive into like what it is like to be a military spouse?
Well, for all the years of being being a veteran spouse and then also working with our veteran service organizations and being from Camp Lejeune to Seymour Johnson and around the nation to Fort Myer, Fort Bragg, all of the powerful bases, you have deployments, you have homecomings, you have babies being born while the parent is gone, the one that's serving is gone. They are missing birthdays, they are missing anniversaries, they are missing a lot of the time their families growing up. And so what I have found is either sitting at the bedsides at Walter Reed Post 9/11 with our spouses and those who are injured, or whether walking alongside of a spouse who is about to give birth, there's a special community, there's a special link, a special chemistry that we come together to support one another. There's a special resilience that you don't see in civilian life that you do see amongst these groups. There are so many mom groups out there for the spouses. There are different organizations on base for the spouses. The USO is one of the most powerful organizations that's been around the longest, that supports the spouse, that supports the child, and then that supports the service member. So when they're overseas and the spouse is stateside, they still feel like there's a connection. You want to keep that connection, but you also want to know that you have your tribe, and that tribe is the spouse community.
Exactly, and it sounds like two words: instant family.
It is. It is. Yes, the instant family I absolutely love. So I want to highlight something for your audience as we get to see our First Lady and the President honor our military mothers today, whether you have a son or daughter who are serving overseas, which I know many, or whether you are a spouse who is sitting back and watching and saying, my husband is getting deployed or my wife is just about to get deployed. I want to applaud the President and the First Lady for recognizing, with Mother's Day being Sunday, but I want to recognize Military Spouse Appreciation Day, which is Friday, May the 8th. And a lot of people in the civilian life don't really realize that. And I know we have talked about that previously. It's not a Hallmark holiday. It is just a day to recognize the military spouse. But I also want to highlight something. As we head into America 250, we also have the National Day of Prayer, which is Thursday, May the 7th, which is tomorrow, the 75th anniversary. But I want to highlight something. National Day of Prayer came out of World War II. And what did we need more than ever before was the power of prayer for our nation as it was coming out of the war, the loss of loved ones, but also what we need more than ever before today is the power of prayer over our spouses, over our mothers, and over those who are serving on the front lines of freedom, whether it is here in the country or whether it is overseas. And as we see the troops shifting, as we see our Marines shifting, as we see Space Force, as we see all of the different service members shifting and what is happening on the front lines, the power of prayer, we need to be able to come and say, okay, let's pray over them that are serving. Let's pray over our spouses, but it is the greatest connector to bring communities together. And that is the power of prayer. And I want to recognize that for America 250 as well.
100%. It's awesome to have that personal connection to God through Jesus, and then also to have others that are like-minded, and then the support, the family support, even if it's somebody that is not a actual relative, but again, the instant family aspect of things. So it's great to see that. Specifically now, moving forward, a conservative mama bear, figuratively speaking, you don't mess with conservative mama bears, do you?
No, you don't. I sit there and see Moms for Liberty and Moms for America, two groups I'm very familiar with who I absolutely admire the work that they have done in the trenches of freedom for the future generations. And no, you don't mess with the mama bear. You don't mess with the moms or the dads who are spouses who are here on the home front or overseas working and protecting the child, protecting our young generation. But one thing I will highlight, and that I highlight on my show, is making sure we are protecting the young minds, but reigniting the young minds for tomorrow, so they know what patriotism stands for, so they know what the Star Spangled Banner stands for, so they know what the Pledge of Allegiance stands for. And I believe more than ever before that this President and First Lady are really wanting to reignite the center of patriotism, so we don't lose the next 250 years, but we gain even more the spirit of this country, the freedoms of this country, and our ancestors that came over to Ellis Island, that they can experience what they experienced when they arrived in Ellis Island.
And let's talk about that before I let you go when it comes to the woke mind virus out there, when it comes to education and a number of teachers that are just on the wrong side of history. And that's to the point that I was just making about the conservative mama bear. They don't want their kids to be indoctrinated. So there are options out there. There's homeschooling, but there's also, making sure the right, you have that public school choice and maybe a faith, religious style of school. What are some of the things that you've seen as well out there when it comes to, hey, we don't want them indoctrinated by the woke mind virus. We want them taught common sense, God, family, country.
Well, I have to agree when it comes to homeschooling. I think that's one of the best things we can do. Listen, I grew up in the public school, but I was so privileged to be raised in a home that was on Judeo-Christian principles. And I was able to have the love of American history and the love of God that a lot of these kids don't get in public school today. So whenever anybody talks about let's protect these young minds, I say let's do homeschooling, the classical conversations. I have many friends that are doing that with their young children, and just making sure that the kids are not on the technology. I'm holding up my phone right here, but that is one of the main issues that we are seeing. Is it goes right back to technology. When are they getting to sit down and actually read a book and have a parent or a caregiver sit down and read a book with them? And let me go back to the USO. The USO has a program where the spouse who is serving overseas can read a book to their children, and then they get to hear it through the teddy bear program that they have. And I want to highlight that there are many other organizations and programs like Great American Pure Flix that are also doing this for our young minds. They have the Art Club, and where they were wanting to make sure that bad movies that have been coming out that look like children's entertainment will not affect the young minds, that they will know what God stands for, country stands for, and what family stands for. So I highly recommend the Homeschooling Network, but I also recommend going to Great American Pure Flix, where you have a whole platform of God, country, and family, and the Art Club for our young minds for tomorrow.
And thank God also for sports and music lessons and hiking and going to the pool or whatever, things that are just outside of just the phone. Obviously, as adults, man, we know we check the phone how many times a day. But that the early mind, of course, and that upbringing, getting away from any indoctrination that can happen on that. I wanted to share a quick story with you just to close this point. But I believe it was maybe a month ago, I was on one of the apps on my phone, one of the TV streaming apps, and I typed in cartoons. I have a 1.5-year-old. My wife and I now have a newborn as well. And so I wanted to watch some cartoons. I wanted to show my baby girl, here's some cartoons. And what popped up? Not cartoons. All sorts of maybe things that just are not good for a kid to watch. And that's unfortunate to see that when it comes to some of the apps. So you still have to watch out for even those kind of small ways that they try and just get you to get the kid to look at that, or maybe get scared of it, or maybe just get into something that is so way off balance, right?
Absolutely. I also want to just point you back to something else as we're talking about these young minds. There are so many different ways for them to evolve and grow. And, we talked about the USO program, and we talked about the Art Club and Great American. But at the end of the day, when we come back and sit around our dining room tables and we have those discussions with our kids that really engage them, hey, if we have to do it at McDonald's, we do it at McDonald's. But if you are able to re-engage the children around the dining room table and just being able to sit down and have those conversations, it's so good for the mind. It's good for the growth. It's good for them to understand that it's not you see the visuals of the 1980s singing around the table. People were actually sitting around praying and holding each other's hands and just thanking God. And today you see modern technology and everybody's just looking at their phones. But to bring it back to your young daughter and her young mind of having that engagement with her. And I can't say that enough. As we celebrate America 250, you get to inspire her with just powerful content and powerful literature. and just really being able to engage her mind. It's just, you have such an amazing honor to do that. So congratulations, Matthew.
Thank you so much.
And thank you for honoring our powerful spouses and our mothers. This is amazing.
Yeah, it is. It's awesome. And my 1.5-year-old, I taught her to kind of salute sometimes with the flag. It's just for fun, you know, but it's cute to see. But anyway, thank you so much. Conservative host Eden Gordon-Hill joining us live. Thanks for what you do for the country. Look forward to having you back on here on Right Side.
Absolutely. God bless you guys. Have a great day.
You too. Thank you. All right. It's 10 after 12 Eastern time here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You know, when we talk about the basics of America, right, the God, family, country thing, it's great in that order, isn't it? Love God, love your family, love your country. In that order, in my opinion. And that country stuff has to do with freedom as well. But then when you're fighting for freedom, legally, lawfully, spiritually, as Alex Jones said the other day, if you're fighting for your freedoms legally, lawfully, and spiritually, you're also doing that for God in a way, but also for your family and for their freedom. So it's like kind of all intertwined. As you guys know, preaching to the choir, I get it. But it's nice to be able to talk about this stuff in conservative media. Just imagine me trying to do that back in the mainstream media days when I worked in that. It wouldn't fly, trust me. Trust me, it wouldn't fly. All right, anyway, let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. You see All Family Pharmacy. When it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple, access, control, and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. You've probably experienced it. Long wait times, packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance, and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple because you go online, you choose what you need, and fill out a short medical form. It's safe. A licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. They offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from everyday maintenance medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, how about NAD+, and there's even more to choose from, all shipped directly to your door. So there's no confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Use that RSBN 10 promo code to get 10% off at checkout. Great sponsor here at Right Side. We'll be interviewing the owner of All Family Pharmacy tomorrow, actually. So looking forward to that here on Right Side. Let's go to Birch Gold Group. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. You saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And you know what else is a limited commodity? Gold. They mined it out of the ground, of course, and when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it, and that's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. So if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. For details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, text Trump to that number you see on your screen there, 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA and physical gold. So all you have to do to get the ball rolling is just text Trump to that number you see on your screen, 989898, to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. You also get a free info kit as well. Text Trump to 989898 today. All right, it is 12:13 Eastern Time. Let's go now to, I believe, Florida. Carolyn Wren, America First Patriot, joining us now. Carolyn, great to see you again.
Thank you very much. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, definitely. Let's talk about Florida quickly. I mean, how is it in the Sunshine State right now?
It is beautiful here. The weather is great. We are batting down the rhinos who were trying to take out the president's renaming of the airport yesterday. So that was sort of a fun thing that popped up. I was asleep, actually, and MAGA state rep Meg Weinberger called me 3 times in a row, said, get out of bed. You need to head down to the Palm Beach County Commission's office. They're trying to play games with the renaming of the airport. And so that was sort of a battle we had to play with yesterday.
Wow. So is it's official now? I know the logo is out there, but is it official? Like if I go on Expedia and I say I want to fly from ATL down to DJT, that's going to pop up yet, or is it not there yet?
I think they said in the the commissioner meeting yesterday that July 9th would be the date that it's likely going to be enacted and when the signage will be done and all that. So yesterday the battle was actually over the trademarking of the name, and because they want to make sure that there's not going to be disparaging materials or comments or things about the president. So it was a standard licensing agreement that the Democrats wanted to turn into a pond to play games with blocking this airport naming from happening. But it is going to go forward, and so starting sometime in mid-July, you will get to fly and land at the the President Donald J. Trump International Airport.
No, it'll be awesome. And then on top of that, I'm thinking about maybe upgrades and what it will be like there at the airport, the restaurants. Think about the music that's going to be played in the terminals. It's going to be rally music.
Well, I wish President Trump could DJ, actually. He's such a great DJ on the Mar-a-Lago patio, but I know that there are some secretive Spotify playlists that the president likes to play off of, and so maybe they can get that playlist going in the airport. That would make it very exciting. I for one know I would love to board a flight to Gloria.
Yeah, no, that would be great. Now, let's go up to Washington, D.C. We have the airport code DCA, of course, Ronald Reagan International Airport there. So why is this important to have President Donald J. Trump, to also have an international airport named after him?
Well, he's one of the most transformative figures in history, and also it's pretty normal to have airports named after presidents. You've got the John F. Kennedy Airport in New York. You've got the Reagan Airport, as you mentioned. You have the Bill and Hillary Clinton Airport, in fact, in Little Rock. And so they're in the Gerald Ford Airport. But President Trump, he has just been such an unbelievable leader. And I do think this is a big deal for Palm Beach County. I live in Palm Beach County, and just thinking, when you actually are renaming for a sitting president, there are a lot of federal grants and things that matter. And President Trump certainly is someone who loves beauty, as we can tell. And so with his name on an airport, I think that you're going to see a lot of beautification to that airport. I also want to see additional routes. The population of Florida has exploded. 2 million people have moved here since COVID. And so, having an expansion of the Palm Beach International Airport will help with tourism, help the economics of our county. And so the idea that these commissioners will play politics and try and block President Trump's name from coming, where there's so much economic drive it will bring to our county and bring to our airport, just shows how much Trump derangement syndrome these folks have.
And we all know the saying, the free state of Florida. And I'm sure the people that are watching outside of Florida right now, including myself, we're here in Alabama, but I want to call it the free state of Alabama. I want to hear the free state of Iowa, the free state of New Hampshire. Come on now, right? Freedom across the country. We want to have that similarity that you guys have with that freedom there. And let's go back to the name now. Of course, President Donald J. Trump International Airport. You look at 2015, you look at an outsider candidate, you look at somebody that tells it like it is, you look at somebody that really brought it to the fake news, you look at somebody that overcame so much for we the people. So you look at that versus, I'm sorry, those that are watching in Little Rock, Arkansas, most of them are probably Republicans anyway, but then they have to deal with the Clinton Airport name there. But anyway, so yeah, it's well-deserved, isn't it?
It is well-deserved. And, the president, his home is here with Mar-a-Lago. He has a lot of business here. So honoring him in this way makes total sense. It is good for everyone in our county. I'm so excited to fly in and out of this airport. I can't wait to hear the airlines announce we are now landing at the President Donald J. Trump International Airport. He's putting his library down in Miami-Dade County. That's another big development coming. And then we also have a road here in Palm Beach County that's being renamed after President Trump, which is great. Again, this is a point I made when I went to the meeting yesterday, is that they renamed a major road in Palm Beach County for Barack Obama. And so they're fine doing it when it comes to a Democrat, but they have to just have a total meltdown when it comes to a Republican. And that's not the way it should be. President Trump deserves to be honored in the county that he calls his home. And so this is really, really exciting for people that live in Palm Beach County.
And I want to leave you with this. I mean, not only President Trump, we see President Trump deserves to be honored in, I think, every state across the union. And rightly so for, as you know, MLK Jr. in a number of states across the union. And why not go with Charlie Kirk across every state in the union? There should be no pushback from that. We have a majority of the people here that are very happy that President Trump has won elections, that Charlie Kirk was a great person for this entire country, and not only that, the world. And same thing with the civil rights leader, MLK Jr. So we really should stop with some of the leftist extremists saying, no, we don't want to do that, right?
100%. I hope President Trump names the ballroom after Charlie Kirk. I think that would be something really special. But you have liberal states such as Arizona, where Charlie Kirk called home, and the governor there vetoed a bill to actually rename, I believe it was the license plates or street after Charlie Kirk. And so they don't want to see any recognition of conservative heroes or Republicans. This is why they topple statues and they get rid of any books that recognize history of any conservative values. They don't want the Bible anywhere near. This is a pattern by them. And right now we are the ones in power, and we should be honoring folks like President Trump and Charlie Kirk. And I'm glad to see these things actually move forward.
And to your point, exactly, it's not just Republican or it's not just conservative. It's on the right side of history. It's the person that stands for truth. It's the people that stand for good versus evil. So, and we know, again, the majority of the nation on the right side of history. Now, question for you before I let you go. The Save America Act, what would you like to say to maybe 51 Senate Republicans who could actually nuke the filibuster and then have that simple majority pass that act, make it a law in this country?
You need to stop fighting this. It is absolutely insane. The Democrats have said when they take all three branches of government, they will immediately nuke the filibuster, and they will make D.C. and Puerto Rico states, adding 4 permanent Democrat senators. They will then nuke the filibuster to pack the Supreme Court, and then they will nuke the filibuster to legalize 50 million illegal aliens so that they can be able to compete in an electoral map. They have said it. They are all on the record saying it. It is outrageous that Republicans are too busy protecting the institution of the Senate, where this is the Democrats will blow up the institution the moment they are in power. You've wasted 18 months of President Trump being in office, a Republican majority in the House and the Senate. You need to lift the filibuster immediately, pass the Save America Act, and get President Trump's agenda through. I'm so sick of Republicans unwilling to fight fire with fire. Now is your moment, and get it done.
Of course, figuratively speaking, a mic drop right there. Carolyn Wren, America First Patriot. Thanks for what you do. You can follow her on X at Carolyn Wren. Thank you again, Carolyn.
Thank you.
Awesome stuff, man. It's great to hear from people on the right side of history. I always love it. I just love being able to speak to people that just spit truth all the time. Anyway, let's go to a few of our sponsors here on Right Side as we're getting ready to go to 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue in just a minute. So we'll go to our first one here, All Family Pharmacy. You know, when it comes to healthcare, people are looking for something simple: access, control, and peace of mind. And right now, that's not always easy to get. You've probably experienced it: long wait times, packed waiting rooms, dealing with insurance and still not getting what you need when you need it. That's why more and more Americans are turning to All Family Pharmacy. They've built a system that's simple, safe, and secure. It's simple. You go online, you choose what you need, and fill out a short medical form. It's safe. A licensed doctor reviews your request and prescribes if appropriate. And it's secure. Your information and transactions are protected from start to finish. Now, they offer access to more than 400 prescription medications, from everyday maintenance medications to antibiotics, antivirals, ivermectin, mebendazole, NAD+, and more, all shipped directly to your door. No confusion, no delays, just a better way to get what you need. Go to allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN and use RSBN 10 at checkout. You'll get that 10% off. You have the QR code there as well, allfamilypharmacy.com/RSBN. Let's go to our next sponsor here on Right Side. You see Birch Gold Group. When there are supply constraints on commodities, prices surge. It's kind of like a cause and effect thing, right? So you saw it with fuel prices when the Strait of Hormuz was blockaded. And you know what else is a limited commodity? Gold. They mine it out of the ground. We know that. And when it's gone, it's gone. Governments can't just print more of it. That's why everyone from central banks to savvy savers are diversified with gold. And if you've been thinking about it for years but have still never moved some of your savings into physical gold, Birch Gold Group is who we trust to help you. Now through May 29th, Birch Gold is giving first-time gold buyers a rebate of up to $10,000 on qualifying purchases. So for details and a free information kit on diversifying into gold, all you have to do is text Trump to that number you see on your screen there, 989898. Birch Gold can help you convert an existing IRA or 401k into a tax-sheltered IRA in physical gold. Text Trump to the number 989898 to see if you qualify for a first-time gold buyer rebate of up to $10,000. Again, text Trump to 989898 today. All right, we're approaching the bottom of the hour slowly. We see right there that this event is starting any minute from now. Let's do this. Let's take a quick commercial break. We'll be right back here on Right Side Broadcasting Network.
Welcome to Right Side Broadcasting Network, your trusted conservative news outlet. At RSBN, we deliver the truth when the mainstream media falls short. Since 2015, we've proudly broadcasted every single one of President Trump's iconic MAGA rallies, bringing you the excitement and energy live before anyone else. By watching RSBN, you get an unfiltered front row view of the action on the ground. We interview the crowds to give a voice to millions of Americans just like you. We show you President Trump's speeches in their entirety, free from interruptions and censorship. We cover the stories that matter to you with the integrity and passion you deserve. Thank you for choosing RSBN as your home for America First News. Together, we stand strong, united, and informed. So join us and be part of the right side of history.
Hey y'all, it's Silk from Diamond and Silk Chit Chat Live. Look, don't forget to watch my show right here at Right Side Broadcasting Network, and I want you to support Right Side Broadcasting Network. It's imperative that you do so, okay? Bye-bye.
Welcome back to Right Side. It is 12:27 this afternoon. Good afternoon. Welcome back into RSBN Live. I'm Matthew Alvarez. So, in just a few minutes, we'll be going to the East Room at the White House. The President and the First Lady participate in a military Mother's Day event in the East Room of the White House. So, of course, Mother's Day is 4 days away on Sunday, May 10th. I will have to do a shameless plug. In college, when I graduated, I walked across that, the stage there, and it was on Mother's Day. It was a May, whatever it was, back in 2005. And, I had some flowers, and I brought my flowers up to my mom right there. But before I did that, as I walked across the stage, there was a microphone. I said, "Happy Mother's Day, Mom," and everybody clapped and enjoyed it, and it was fun. Anyway, enough of that stuff. 12:27, but happy Mother's Day almost, Mom. As we are 4 days away from that, but we're going to go to the White House to see this event. It's going to be a great event, of course, and glad to bring that to you here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Now, let's talk about a couple things, though. Specifically when it comes to the military, since we are just a couple minutes out, I believe we are, I think we have time for at least one video. So what video I want to go to is specifically at the Arlington National Cemetery video, so we'll have to wait till after 12:30, I was just told by our director. But later this month on Memorial Day weekend, specifically on Sunday, May 24th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time, visitors at Arlington National Cemetery are welcome to place a flower at the tomb of the unknown soldier during Flowers of Remembrance Day. So we'll most likely be able to play that video if this doesn't start on time. It sounds like we can toss to it now. So let's go to that in Arlington, Virginia. Okay, so as you see right there on the right side of your screen, it's on Memorial Day weekend, specifically Sunday, May 24th from 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Eastern Time. Visitors at Arlington National Cemetery are welcome to place a flower at the tomb of the unknown soldier. This will be during Flowers of Remembrance Day. So that was the video from Arlington National Cemetery. Just wanted to bring that to your attention, as we know that Memorial Day is towards the end of the month. We're still at the early part of the month, and let's talk about the middle part of the month, specifically around next week, the May 14th, May 15th. President Trump and the First Lady, you'll be seeing them here live in a minute, but they're going to be traveling to China in just about a week or so, as they will be visiting President Xi Jinping there. So good to keep the diplomatic relations going, especially with various countries like China. So we'll be covering that event here at Right Side Broadcasting Network. And thanks so much for live streaming with us as we continue to cover the news of the day within that 24/7 news cycle, and also all the political events that you guys are seeing, specifically when it comes to the White House. Also, thank God for a number of our great sponsors, including mypillow.com/RSBN, the Mother's Day special. Help mom get the rest that she needs. You can get a lot of great gifts there for mom. Now's a great time to do it. mypillow.com/RSBN. So you see the Giza Dream Sheets, $29.98. Wow, as low as that. That's a great price, by the way. The premium My Pillows, the queens, are at $18.98. So some great prices there for the Mother's Day special. Again, mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, you can do so at rsbnetwork.com/donate. rsbnetwork.com/donate. Also, if you'd like to send in a few patriotic photos out there, anywhere you are across the country, whether it's a flag outside of your house, we don't need to see the address or anything like that, just patriotic close-up shots or anything like that, please send it to feedback@rsbn.tv. feedback@rsbn.tv, because we have a photo. I believe, Director, if we could maybe pop the photo up. This is from Trish. She sent this to us, a longtime viewer of Right Side Broadcasting Network. We asked for this to happen yesterday. We said, hey, send them to feedback@rsbn.tv, and she did. So that's a great photo there. Looks like this was around Christmas time, but maybe, who knows? It's May. Maybe you love Christmas and you just keep the Christmas stuff up. Hey, you know what? At our house, we still have some of the lights. They're white lights around one of the areas. We do. It just is, it's the cozy vibes, right? Drinking coffee, hanging with the family, all that stuff. Anyway, so that is from Trish. Thanks so much, Trish, for watching. And viewers just like you, and this is not, I'm not reading this on a teleprompter, but viewers just like you are what makes this company continue on. Because without you guys, what are we doing? We're not just playing TV here. This is all about saving the country, freedom, and all the things that is what the majority of the nation is about. The Constitution of these United States, and the Bible, and all those things. So again, and just a little bit, that website again, feedback@rsbn.tv. So any minute from now, we're going to go to the White House. The President and the First Lady are participating in a military Mother's Day event in the East Room of the White House. So looking forward to that event here. And of course, if you missed yesterday's coverage, the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio, at the podium as the great Carolyn Leavitt's on maternity leave. So Marco did a great job yesterday, and a few funny kind of moments too. So if you missed that, you can always replay that here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. And as we stand by right now, specifically, we did a video earlier about Grand Junction, Colorado. The Veterans Affairs Secretary, Doug Collins, was out there visiting a VA hospital. A great story there. And I was talking about Grand Junction, and Grand Junction being the first television market that I worked in. It was market 187. There's 212 markets in the entire country for local TV. So you're in a market right now, most likely, right? You get your local news from one of the areas there. Hopefully you're just watching RSBN or conservative news, because sometimes local news definitely is not on the right side of history. But anyway, the point is, my journey was from Grand Junction to Columbus, Ohio, to New York City and New Jersey, to a little bit in Harrisburg, Pennsylvania, to Nashville, Tennessee, to Altoona, Pennsylvania. So I did one of those, moving and every 3 years, couple years here and there, just moving up, moving over, whatever. And so now here in conservative media since 2022, September 3rd of 2022 was the first Trump rally that I covered here. And it's quite the journey. not only in the career, but just in my personal life, just everything that has come together. And I think of Romans 8:28. All things work together for the good to those that love God and are called according to his purposes. Thank God for his grace and his love for us, right? And you keep pressing in, you keep learning your lessons that you have to learn as life is a classroom, and then you get to an opportunity where you're here and we're here together. And this is what this is all about. Our country, our love for God, family, and country, and glad you guys are with us. So I just wanted to share a little bit of personal stuff there because throughout this broadcast, I was kind of throwing in a couple personal stories, and I'm like, why don't I give a little context on my career? But if you'd like to follow me on Truth Social, it's at Matthew Alvarez and also at Matthew US Media on X. Thank you so much for following. And those people on Truth Social that do follow me and like a lot of the posts that I post and all that, like last night, posted a number of things. Director, if we have a second, if you want to throw them up, no worries if not. But I created a couple Grok X posts yesterday where they're AI images of, generated images of DJT, so the President Donald J. Trump Airport. So I posted that one on Truth Social. Then I posted the following one that you're about to see on Truth Social. And then I posted the next one on X and Truth, just a fake boarding pass, right? Just because you can with AI. And a lot of people on Truth like that and retruthed it and all that. So to the people that are on there, we've been started since 2022 when I, been working at Right Side. I remember Christina Bobb, you remember her, awesome Trump lawyer at the time, now doing great work with another organization. But, just growing that connection with all of you guys out there. So when I say good morning, Patriots, or good evening, Patriots, or whatever, that's not just for kicks. I mean, there's definitely a heartfelt thing when it comes to this country because indirectly we are a family in the United States of America. And a lot of us believe the same stuff. And I mentioned this yesterday as we were standing by for the White House, but the conversations that you might have at the barbershop or at a local restaurant or just between you and family, most likely are the same conversations that I'm having drinking coffee on a weekend with mine. You know what I mean? So we're really in this thing together. We do want to see this Save America Act passed. We really want our country to continue on in freedom. We know what the other side looks like. We know what the woke mind virus looks like when it comes to how extreme, when it comes to globalism or deep statism or communism or terrorism and all the things. But just be encouraged that at the end of the day, we know what the end of the book says and we're going to win. We just have to get there. So let's just keep on keeping on. We can fight for our freedom legally, lawfully, and spiritually. We have our freedom still. Let's keep on keeping on, right? Amen? All right, 12:37, 38 Eastern time. Is it 39 on? Okay, so my iPad the other day, I messed with the clock there to try and line it up with what you see on the bottom of your screen. And now it says 12:38 on my iPad. It says 12:39 there. But anyway, we'll be going to the White House here momentarily as we were following that breaking news earlier as well as Ted Turner has died at the age of 87. Of course, a media mogul. He also, of course, not only created CNN, TBS, TNT, and other networks. And back in the day when it was under his ownership, it was about the breaking news. If you remember 1986, that NASA Challenger that exploded, that was when CNN really, I remember watching a documentary on this, that really when CNN was just covering breaking news at the time. I don't think they were getting into politics and all the leftist crap that they do now, unfortunately. They're under new ownership. President Trump is optimistic that CNN is going to turn around. We'll see what happens. I mean, that's his Truth Social post. You could read that. But still, though, somebody that, really, I think, understood news. And, with CNN, they're still fake news. Trust me, I'm not a fan at all. But back in the day, they really, when they covered breaking news, they really took a step away from the traditional evening news that you see at 6 o'clock your local time on ABC, CBS, NBC, that kind of thing. They're still going on, those networks, of course, but a lot of people are saying, well, I want someone that tells it like it is, or I want conservative media. A lot of people, of course, gravitate to what you believe in, and you want to hear from those kind of personalities. That makes total sense. And a shout out to all of the podcasters out there as well. And a shout out to citizen journalists that like Nick Shirley and others, Savannah Hernandez, I mean, and other conservative networks, and just people that are saying, you know what, let's just do this thing for our country. And yes, you get paid doing it, but hey, if you're skilled at something and you're doing something to advance freedom, I'm a fan of people that love freedom, that's all. If you are really into freedom and usually you're on the right side of history, right? Usually it goes with common sense and all the things that we believe in as great patriots we are in this country. And finally, hopefully we'll have the live feed here any second now. I'm kind of stretching, as they say in the news business. You know, someone on the side over there next to the camera would say, stretch, stretch. Well, anyway, I've heard it said that people in the media, they call people, the patriots of this country, you know, average Americans or everyday Americans, and that's true, everyday Americans, I like that one. But the word average, I don't like hearing average Americans. The average American says, no, I'm not into that. I don't think anybody is an average American. If you're an American and for some reason God had us born in this country, on this soil, or if you became an American, a legal citizen, you're nothing like average. You are above that, and that's okay. And anybody in other countries around the world, if they are a freedom-loving person, they're not average either. This is humanity versus anybody else that wants to take it out. I know that's a little bit of sounding like a conspiracy theory type thing, but it's true. We know there are forces out there, good and evil. But anyway, the point is, there are no average Americans. You guys are awesome. You're rock stars. If you are we the people, you remember Abraham Lincoln when he spoke that day, back in the Civil War, back in Gettysburg, the address, a government of, by, and for the people shall not perish from this land. That was a mic drop in the 1800s, around 1861, 1863. So that's the heart of all of this. That's the perspective that I'm looking at. And I'm glad that, you know, hey, listen, I'm not a scientist, if you know what I mean. Which is nothing wrong with being a scientist. But at the end of the day, it's just common sense stuff, and I can get behind that, right? And glad you're with us. If you'd like to follow us on Truth Social, you can go to, let's see, on Truth Social, at RSBN. There's more than 5 million people following us on there. And then also on X, it's at RSB Network. If you'd like to donate to Right Side Broadcasting Network, it's rsbnetwork.com/donate. Great people over the years have donated to the network, but also we have some great sponsors. So thanks so much for being a part of the family here in conservative media. And also my brother-in-law, John Hoffman, who that interview aired a couple times, yesterday and today. He's going coast to coast he's a cyclist. He's an adventurous type, man. He's done the Spartan races, the Tough Mudders, the marathons and all that. Well, he's been training. He's going to go coast to coast, Virginia to Oregon. He's raising money for St. Jude's Children's Hospital. There's a QR code. If you replay some of today's broadcasts, you'll see a QR code pop up. That QR code will take you directly to the St. Jude's Medical Center or the Children's Medical Hospital website, and specifically his fundraising spot there. So I believe I saw at last check $250 so far raised. He's working to raise $25,000. Again, this is not going to him at all. 100% goes to the hospital, and you can see that by the website that the QR code goes to. So it's directly to the hospital. So if you'd like to donate, whether it's $1 or something more, great. And if you can't donate or don't want to, if you want to post the link somewhere, again, you can go to a number of our feeds. We posted the interview on X, on Truth Social, I think, on Rumble, on YouTube. So just if you'd like. All right, so 12:45 Eastern Time. The event scheduled originally start at 12:30. Also, another thing that's going on in Doral, Florida today, at Trump International, Pastor Mark Burns, who's been on the program a while back, we'll be trying to work with him because today there is a President Donald J. Trump statue that's going to be unveiled at Trump Doral. So what we'll do is most likely get that interview in. That event starts at 1 o'clock. There's no live feed really for that right now. So we'll get that interview done and then we'll be able to air that interview either later today or maybe tomorrow of the unveiling, or at least of the photo. And he'll be, when we do that interview, he'll be standing right next to that statue. So we're going to have that as well coming up. So just a lot of content out there. Let's double check something as we are still on standby. I just want to double check any breaking news headlines, if there are any at this hour. Let's see. I don't see anything that's breaking right now, other than the developing news, the breaking news that was earlier in the day with the passing of Ted Turner. Of course, that comes down to back in specifically Atlanta, Georgia. If you remember, the CNN headquarters used to be in Atlanta, and I went to those headquarters a few years back. You know, being someone that's in media, I wanted to check it out, so I walked through CNN's headquarters there. I've been to Fox News and all that too, and to be straight up, why not tell you? I've been to the BBC out in London as well. When you email certain people back in your career and you're talking to various outlets, you're willing to work. You know, you have to get a job, right? So I was looking to be an American-based correspondent, but that was way before I was ready to do something like that. The point is, it's interesting, at the CNN Atlanta headquarters that used to be right at that specific spot near the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Do you remember the big CNN logo that's out there? Well, that's gone. It's just the portion of the stone just sitting there. So it's eerie to kind of see back in the days of older style of TV and tapes and recordings and just how it used to be. And now we're live streaming on the internet. Quite the difference here in 2026. Quite the difference with technology. So thanks so much for watching. Also, speaking of watching, those of you watching on a phone, or those of you watching on your TV or an iPad or a Surface, go ahead if you want, just if you want, put it in Rumble in the chat or in YouTube in the chat. Let us know where you're watching, just in general. Just curious if everybody's watching right here on your phone or on a screen in your living room or maybe at work, or I don't know. So, but thanks again for doing so. We've got a 2-minute warning now to the White House. And if you're just joining us now, no, I have not rambled like this for the whole couple hours. We had a ton of live interviews, a lot of videos, a lot of the 24/7 news cycle that we've shared with you. So again, just stretching a little bit because I know that this is about to start any second from now. But thank you so much again for joining us here on Right Side. And coming up, of course, this week, we'll see if there's any live events tomorrow and on Friday. Usually there are. And then on top of that, again, May 14th and 15th, that'll be when the President and the First Lady will be in China, so we'll have that coverage. And then on June 14th, the huge UFC fight on the South Lawn of the White House. Of course, Flag Day, President Trump's birthday, all the things, we'll see that on June 14th. And then July 4th, a lot going on there, of course, as we are about to turn 250 in this great country. It all means... I was almost going to say it all means nothing, but of course it means everything. It's great that we have that happening, but I'm just trying to compare it to, we need the Save America Act to pass. Because what if all the Democrats win in the midterms? What if the Democrats take the White House? They're going to want to nuke filibusters and do all the wrong things for our country. So why President Trump called it the Save America Act, that's the right thing to do. So we just have to pass it. And there's not a lot of talk about it right now on Capitol Hill. It seems like it's stalled in the U.S. Senate. You remember there was a buildup in April, and then what happened was there was the April recess, and then it kind of fell flat. Just calling it how it is. Hopefully we'll see that get talked about and get some more momentum on the Save America Act. And then also I talked about the states. Maybe with the states we can start working on the Save America Act style of policies in various states across the union. I remember Seth Keshel, the great election expert, said that on the air. I said, that's a great idea. So hopefully that'll happen as well. All right, we're about 10 seconds out. We're going to go to the White House here. Thanks so much for joining us here on Right Side Broadcasting Network. Specifically, the President and the First Lady participate in a military Mother's Day event in the East Room of the White House. Again, Mother's Day is 4 days away, Sunday, May 10th. Mother's Day should be really every day. Let's go to the White House right now.
Ladies, the President of the United States, Donald J. Trump, and First Lady Melania Trump.
Good afternoon, and welcome to the White House. I would like to extend a warm welcome to our Vice President, J.D. Vance, and his wife, Usha. Welcome. It is our pleasure to join today by Secretary McMahon, Mrs. Haxett, and I'm also honored to welcome Mrs. Melody Wolf and Lorraine Hawk, and to my Chief of Staff, Haley Harrison, who is preparing to welcome her second child onto the world. Haley, you're a wonderful mother, and I wish you and your growing family all great things. I often think about the brave people who make the ultimate sacrifice for our freedom. When I went to honor the fallen service members from the 103rd Sustainment Command at Dover Air Force Base last March, I realized that words cannot comfort the all-consuming grief that family members, and mothers in particular, experience. The loss is overwhelming. Although I understand the deep pride these families feel in their loved ones' service to our great republic, I cannot fathom the depth of their sorrow. A mother is awestruck when she welcomes her child into the world. After 9 months, the miracle of life creates a fascinating bond between mother and child. With each breath, day by day, this bond deepens, bringing forth emotions never felt before. Quite frankly, these are emotions understood only by women. Only a mother can carry this type of powerful connection with her child, which is also too profound for words. This is a time of military conflict for America, and whereby we honor our selfless and valiant service members regularly. Today is the day we hold their mothers in the highest regard. It is these military mothers who find themselves alone, awake in their thoughts in the darkest hours of the night. Of course, we must also remember the mothers with a spouse overseas, praying for a safe return so their family can become whole once again. At the very heart of America's strength lies the boundless love and quiet power of mothers. We are the most devoted teachers, gently nurturing empathy, inspiring dreams, and guiding our children towards goodness. We help them rise with courage when life grows difficult. In every hug, every story read at bedtime, and every sacrifice made without complaint, mothers build the moral foundation of our families. In doing so, America's mothers help build the soul of our nation. I pray you find enduring strength as your loved one serves in defense of our freedom. Most know my husband as the strong commander-in-chief, but his empathy transcends the role and shape a caring leader who constantly remembers each and every American soldier is someone's child. Distinguished guests, please join me with a warm welcome for our President, Donald J. Trump.
That's good. Thank you, Anna. Great job. So I want to thank everybody for being here. We have so many things to talk about, but there's nothing more important than military moms that I can tell you, because without you, I don't think it would be in this house. I don't think this house probably ever would have been built a long time ago. So important. I want to start off by saying we're in our great vice presidents right here, and we're in I call it a skirmish, because that's what it is. It's a skirmish. and we're doing unbelievably well, as we did in Venezuela, where it was rapid, over in one day. And we're doing pretty much equally as well, I would say, larger, but we're doing very well in Iran. It's going very smoothly, and we'll see what happens. They want to make a deal. They want to negotiate. And I think that military mothers would want to hear that. Do you agree? I think it's appropriate. Somebody would say, "Oh, that's not appropriate." I think military mothers want to hear about this stuff. And we have the greatest. And we have the greatest. We have the greatest military that we've ever had. We have the greatest military in the world by far. There's nobody even close. And I think we've displayed that. I built the military in my first term, much of it. It was when I inherited the military, it was like when I inherited the border. The border was a mess, and the military was a mess. A lot of you know that because you were there to witness it. And now we have the strongest military that we've ever had. We're just getting a approval of $1.5 trillion to upgrade our military still further. But when I was spending all that money in my first term, it was a great term, a very unbelievable term. We had the best economic numbers that the country's ever had. Now we're going to blow them away. We're blowing them away right now. But I built the military in my first term with the help of a lot of great admirals, generals, and everybody else. And I didn't know we'd be using it quite so much, but that's okay, and whatever it is, because in the case of Iran, we're not going to let Iran have a nuclear weapon. And we're not going to let that happen, and we won't let that happen. And so we're dealing with people that want to make a deal very much, and we'll see whether or not they can make a deal that's satisfactory to us. We have it very much under control. The blockade is unbelievable. The Navy's been incredible. The job they did, it's like a wall of steel. Nobody goes through. In particular, the Iranians, they're not getting anything through one way or the other, so they're out of business. And we'll see whether or not they are agreeing. And if they don't agree, they'll end up agreeing shortly thereafter. So that's the way it is. And I thought you might want to have a little rundown now. The fake news is all happy because they can hear what we had to say. And I have to say, JD's doing a fantastic job. He's working with us, with him and all of the team, Marco, and we have Steve Witkoff, Jared. We have a whole group, the generals, and General Kane has been fantastic. Pete Hegseth, incredible. We have just a great group of people. CIA, John Redcliffe. I think Mrs. Redcliffe's even here someplace. And are you here, Mrs. Redcliffe? I think somebody said yes. But we have amazing people. We have an amazing military. And I think it's on display. Sometimes you'd rather not have it be on display, but they're there for a purpose. And the greatest military anywhere in the world. And the world is watching us as we do our thing. And we have the respect of the world, which we didn't have. 2 years ago, we were a laughingstock all over the world. Now we have the hottest country anywhere in the world in every way. So I just want to congratulate you all because you're a big part of it. And I want to thank you, Melania. Amazing the job you've done. She did a little movie. It became the #1 movie. Now, you know. And I can't exaggerate because if I did, they would be all over. It wasn't #1. It was #2. It was #5. So I have to be very, very careful with it. And then it went streaming. This is a different world. I didn't even know what they were talking about. They said, oh, and it became #1 streaming too. So congratulations. That's an amazing achievement. Huh? And most importantly to her, she's done an incredible job as First Lady. And she's an incredible mom. She has a little boy who's quite tall. He's a little boy to us, but he's quite tall, right? And he's great, Barron, and she takes great care of him. And thank you. Great mom. Today we're honored to welcome to the White House a group of strong and resilient women who represent the best of our country, the amazing military mothers. So important, and we want to thank you all. for being here. So many of you I know or recognize, and I want to thank you very much, because there's nothing like the White House, right? Is it the coolest? And by the way, right behind me, see that? You call it a window or a drape. I call it a knockout panel. Because behind that, in fact, if you want to see it, I think we could work it out, but behind that window is a end drape. In fact, the drapes are so nice, I think I'm going to leave them. How am I going to get a nicer something than that? But that's the entrance to the new ballroom that's being built, which everybody likes, especially since last Saturday evening. They like it even more, because it'll have a thing called security. It'll be nice. But right back there is where we're building. So if you hear any pounding noises, the pile drivers are out. It's already up to the first floor, but we're a little bit ahead of schedule, right on budget. But it's going to be something great. It'll be one of the most beautiful buildings of its kind anywhere in the world. And you know, for 150 years, presidents have wanted a room. This is the ballroom right here. And it's too small. We had the king and queen of a lovely country, United Kingdom, and we would have had at least 1,000. Everybody wanted to be here, and we had 112 people. Because this is a lovely room, but it's not big enough. It's got one, and it's been that way for many, many years. So every president's been calling. But I was in a position, being a builder and having built many ballrooms and many other things. I'm good at ballrooms, and we're giving you I believe it's the best. It will be the best ever built, and it will have windows that are thicker than any ballroom I've ever built. I usually have glass that's about 1/4 of an inch thick. This is about 6 inches thick. This can repel a lot of different weapons, but it's going to be incredible. It's going to be, aside from being secure, it's going to be I think it's going to be the most beautiful ballroom ever built, and it's something that the White House has needed, that presidents have needed, and it's an honor to be involved. And it really has become very popular. When people see the design, they really like it, and it's been great. Gotten some great reviews. Also with us is Secretary of Education Linda McMahon, my friend, who's done such a fantastic job wherever you are, Linda. Oh, hi, Linda. She's great. What a job. Along with Jennifer Hegseth. Jennifer? Hi, Jennifer. He's doing some job, I'll tell you. He's doing a job. You know, he stood up. He was the only one. He was standing up in the ballroom the other day in the event, the White House, they call it the White House dinner. You know, they were saying, when you use that term, I guess you probably can use it, but we had a little dinner the other night, and your husband was standing on the top of a table. Everyone else was under the table. So that's what we want of our Secretary of War, right? We want somebody, but he was standing on top of the table. Everyone else was under the damn table. Anyway, he's doing a fantastic job. He and the general, those are great news conferences. We like them. They work very well together, I can tell you. The wife of Pete Hegseth, and say hello to Pete. Michelle Ratcliffe. Michelle? Where is Michelle? I think she's here someplace. Michelle. And the wife of CIA Director John Ratcliffe, and Jackie Emmer. Jackie, you are so great. Jack, I know Jackie well because her husband and I, we didn't know each other. We fought. You know, in politics you can fight. And then when we got to know each other, we love each other, right? But she always liked Trump. And she convinced her husband, who's a big power in the House, she convinced her husband that Trump was much better than he thought. And I remember you. I like you. Now I really like him. He's an incredible. But I like you more, and I'm always, because you were there long before him, right? But Jackie, you're great. I appreciate it. Thank you very much. And as you know, Tom Emmer is the House Majority Whip, and he's a fantastic person, real leader. Comes from an interesting place, a place that's under investigation by our great Vice President. They're finding a lot. And Tom Emmer was one of the biggest complainers about what was going on in Minnesota and lots of other places. I also want to say a special thank you to the many moms among our fantastic military aides and social aides who support us here at the White House. They've been incredible. All of you have been so incredible. And I want to thank you very much for being with us today. It's beautiful. The women in this room have sacrificed for our country in countless ways. Among you are veterans and active duty service members, proud spouses, and the parents of those who serve in uniform. Amazing people, the most amazing people. Many of you have missed cherished moments, and you really have. You've spent so much time taking care of the ones you love. You've missed holidays, birthday parties, graduations, or even a child's first words. Others have moved more times than anybody can even count. And I don't know if you love doing it or not, but you get very good at it. You have the way, you know the way to do it. But you do it all because you love America, you love our country. And this week, as we prepare to celebrate Mother's Day, we take this opportunity on behalf of all of us to say thank you very much for the incredible job. You do it with love, so it's not, I don't think, there's no such thing as a job if you love it, but we'll call it a job nevertheless. The job you do is incredible, and everybody respects you so much. You have no idea. So I just want to thank you all, and thank you all for being here. Joining us is someone who knows the incredible sacrifice of service, Brittany Stevenson from Camp Lejeune. That's a hell of a camp. That's beyond a camp. The word camp, I don't know, it doesn't look like a camp to me. Her parents were both Marines, and in 1983, her dad survived the Marine barracks bombing in Beirut. We talk about that even to this day. That was something. Brittany loved the Marines so much that she married a Marine herself, and the love of her life. Taylor, over 15 years, her family has moved 10 homes, 10 different homes, and been assigned to 6 duty stations from all over the world. And now her daughter, Ava, is part of the Marine Corps Junior ROTC program and wants to become a Marine as well. So, Brittany, your family is a definition of Semper Fi and always faithful. And I want to thank you. Where are you? Where are you? Please stand up. Would you like to come up and say, come here, Brittany. Come here.
Thank you. I'm not really sure what to say, but this is such an honor and a privilege to be here. I'm truly touched to represent my family, the Marine Corps, Camp Lejeune, and military moms and spouses like you all. So, thank you. Thank you so much.
Good job. She had no idea she was going to be doing that, but I looked at her. I said, she looks so great. I'm going to get her up here, right? That was beautiful. Thank you very much. As Melania mentioned, we're also honored to be joined by a military mother who sacrificed far more than most. That's Melody Wolf. And, I love the name Melody because for a long time, they have spell correct and word correct on these crazy machines that we use to put out truths, or they used to be called tweets. And every time I wrote Melania, it would correct to Melody. So I do things, and I work very fast, blah, 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 and I talk about it, and I say, and Melania is fantastic, and happy Mother's Day, Melania, our great First Lady, Melania, but it would spell correct and word correct to Melody, and sometimes I wouldn't proofread it, and I'd say, and I would get just absolute decimated. These people would decimate. They said he didn't know the name of his wife. He keeps calling her. And I said, what the hell is wrong with this machine? I didn't know about that little feature, but I got that corrected eventually. You know who corrected? The military. I said, come here, you got to correct this. You're killing me. I took more abuse. She's been called Melody a lot. Anyway, I had to explain it to you this way. I stood up here to explain it to you. I apologize. Last year, Melody's 24-year-old son, Andrew Wolf, of West Virginia National Guard, was on patrol in Washington, D.C., helping to restore law and order to our capital city. And I spoke to her. This woman is amazing. Along with her comrade, Specialist Sarah Backstrom, who is just was a fantastic person. He was ambushed by a terrorist and shot in the head. A violent, horrible person did this. Nobody thought Andrew was going to make it, but Melody told me, and I called her that evening in the hospital. Sir, I have no doubt the doctor said he won't be making it. And as you know, Sarah passed away also from a shot to the head by these people, these horrible, horrible people. But Melody was the one person, in fact, Melody's husband, who's great, he didn't feel the same way. But she said, I have no doubt, sir. I'm telling you, he's going to be fine. Don't worry about it. He's going to be fine. I never saw anything. It was really pretty amazing. And she was right. A week went by, another week went by, I'd call, I'd say, how's he doing? Sir, he's doing really well. And the doctors would say, I think he maybe will make it. And she turned out to be right. It was sort of a miracle, actually. And I've never seen, you know, they talk about the power of positive thinking. I've never seen anything like this one. JD, you wouldn't believe it. He had no chance. I'm telling you, and she willed it. And now it's really something very special that I hear he's just doing fantastic. It was a Bible verse from the book of Isaiah. Do not fear, for I am with you. With God's help, Andrew has made a really incredible recovery. It's hard to believe. And during my State of the Union address, we were privileged to award him the Purple Heart. This was a real Purple Heart. This was a terrible thing that happened. And Melody, where are you, Melody? There you are. Hi. Haven't seen you in a little while, but it's true, the story, right? You were the only one. You know that you were the only one. She was so positive, I don't think she heard anybody else. And your husband's doing okay, and he feels much better about it. He was not feeling too good. I think you should. Do you want to say something about your boy and how? Come on up here, Melody. No, it's such an amazing story. Such an amazing story. Come. We went through a couple of bad nights together, right?
Yes. I first want to say that we had the nation behind us at a time when nobody thought our boy would make it. He was 24 years old. He was a young man on the streets of D.C., a shot to the left part of his brain. We have a strong faith in God, and God is what brought our son through this. He gave us an amazing backing. He gave us amazing doctors. He gave us amazing nurses. And our community, our nation, our community, are just all of the support and the support of the White House medical staff. Incredible. Anything that our son needed was met. We are just truly thankful. And we're a little over 5 months. He came home from the hospital April 2nd. And he is now enjoying being home. He's getting back into playing golf. He loves cornhole, as you know. Yes. That's right. He loves doing so many activities, and so we're truly blessed that we're able to get him into some outpatient care closer to home. We do have another surgery coming up in September, and just recovery is my understanding that will happen for quite some time, but I have no doubt that he will be 100% back to Andrew within a few years, independent, driving, being a young bachelor again. So thank you so much.
I'm so proud of you. Incredible. That's incredible. That's incredible. Nobody really can understand it, but I was with the general, who was fantastic, right? And he said, not much of a chance, maybe no chance. I mean, I hate to say it even, but no chance. They all said the same thing. And she said, no, God is with him. I'm telling you, President, God is with him. He's going to be okay. And I get reports that he's amazing, right? So congratulations. Thank you very much. You taught us all something. Appreciate it. Also joining us is an outstanding active duty Air Force mom, Lieutenant Colonel Amanda Colazzo. She's an MQ-9 Reaper drone pilot. Whoa, that's pretty good. An evaluator, a weapons officer, and desk officer at the Defense Threat Reduction Agency. She has traveled to 20 countries, flown over 7,000 hours, and eliminated many high-value targets. She's a great talent, they say. Our military is strong again, and as Amanda says to herself, and we are, as a nation, we are really respected again. She said that, and it's true. So, Amanda, thank you very much. Where are you, Amanda? Where are you? Come on up here, Amanda. I got to do this. You know, they're not expected to, but they're doing very well. Come on up. That's great.
Thank you, Mr. President. Thank you, Melania, for hosting this event. Thank you, Cindy, for inviting me out here. I just want to say I'm proud to be an American. I am proud to serve our nation, the world's greatest Air Force. Thank you for all of the moms out here and for your spouses, your kids, yourselves. So thank you all, and happy Mother's Day.
She's very sharp, isn't she? She'll be running for office someday. Great. Thank you very much. Appreciate it. As Commander-in-Chief, I will always support our great service members and their families. We've invested a record-setting trillion, and now it's up to $1.5 trillion, and all built in the USA, by the way, all right? So it's a lot of jobs, too, you know? Some people said I did it for that. Actually, I didn't. I did it for the military, but it's a byproduct. We have tremendous numbers of very talented people building all of the things that we do, and we make the best equipment anywhere in the world by far. They're all ordering it for us. In fact, I've given a special edict that the defense companies who have the best equipment, they're not making it fast enough, and now they're all building plants all over the place. I said, you're not allowed to buy back stock anymore. I told some of these people that are making millions and millions of dollars, you got to reduce your salary. I'm going to reduce your salary. You're going to put it into weapons. And it's been incredible, the spirit we have. And they're building, some of them are building 6, 7 plants right now to make the Patriots and the Tomahawks. Tomahawks are unbelievable. Patriots, unbelievable. We had, recently, we had 111 missiles shot at one of our very valuable objects, something called an aircraft carrier. Think of this, 111 missiles, high range, high quality, speed missiles, very high, very fast, very top of the line. 111 out of 111 missiles shot at a, you know, well, it used to be, you'd like to say, $1 billion boat. Now they're about $18 billion. They're very expensive. But 111 coming at them at 3,500 miles an hour. All 111 were shot down and didn't even get close to the ship. And they're all laying at the bottom of the ocean along with the Iranian Navy. They're all laying very nicely under the water. But think of that. 5 years ago, a thing like that would have been impossible. 10 years ago, it's not even thinkable. Ronald Reagan actually thought of the concept. They called it Star Wars, but it wasn't a concept that anybody thought would ever work. But, you know, you have these things coming at you, and we have the Patriots. The Patriots are the best of them. And we have other things also. But it's when you think you hit 100% of the missiles coming at, it's not like, oh, let's let a couple get through. It's not that bad. One gets through, it's problems. So we can do things today, and no other country has anything like that. They don't have anything with the power, with the strength, and with the, you know, it's accuracy, really. It's accuracy. Got to hit. It's like hitting a needle in a haystack, they were saying, and yet they do it every time. It's pretty amazing, and we have the most talented people operating that equipment. For that, you have to be high IQ, and you have to have no choke, because you have about 12 seconds to make a decision and take the aim, and you have to be very good mathematically. You have to know what you're doing. You have to be very smart. You have to see the education, the schools. They go to the best schools in the world. Some of them come out of, I know I called up a couple. I said, where did you go to school? I went to MIT. Oh, good. That's good. So it's, you know, it's a very different, frankly, it's a very different military in many ways. But we have invested a record-setting amount of dollars, and the U.S. Armed Forces is now stronger than it's ever been, and we're getting stronger, and it's so important. Every branch is setting records in recruitment, and I'm very proud of the Space Force because that was a branch that, a new one that came up, and we were losing to Russia and to China in space, and we had it as part of the Air Force, but it wasn't really thought of, once it's part of something. And we put a great general in charge, and the Space Force is now leading the other countries, China, Russia, and there is no fourth, really, and leading them by, we saw numbers the other day, we're leading in space by so much, we're never going to be caught. So I'm very proud of Space Force. First time that's taken place, a new force. The last one was the Air Force, and that was 78 years ago, so this is brand new, and we're very proud of it. It's turned out to be, I think it's going to be one of our most important as time goes by. A lot of the things that you see, a lot of the accuracy of the weapons is caused because of what we created with Space Force, so we're very proud of that. But every branch is setting records in recruitment. When last year, if you remember, before I came to office, actually after the election, it started picking up rapidly, to be honest with you. November 5th, we had a little election. We did quite well. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote. We won everything. We won 87% of the counties. We won it all. But I will tell you, right after that election, it started. But before that, we had the worst recruiting in the history of our country. People didn't want to be in the armed services. They didn't want to be police. They didn't want to be firemen. They didn't want to be anything with a uniform representing our country. And it was the lowest number we've ever had. And I can say very confidently that at this moment, we have the highest recruitment, the most successful recruitment for the military, Army, Navy, the Navy, Air Force, Marines, Coast Guard, Space Force, all of it. We have the highest recruitment, the best recruitment that we've ever had. We have lines of people wanting to get in. We're taking people based on their fitness and their quality. We're taking, you wouldn't believe what the difference it is. And Washington, D.C. is an example. And that's why it's so sad when Melody comes up and talks about that one event, because, the numbers in Washington, D.C. Are so incredible. The numbers have gone down from we had a place that was so unsafe, our great capital, and now it's considered one of the safest cities anywhere in the United States. We went to Memphis, and Memphis was a killing field practically, and now it's down. The numbers are down. Crime 80%. In New Orleans, Louisiana, the governor called up, Jeff Landry, said, "Sir, we have the Mardi Gras coming up, and we have a lot of crime in the city. Can you do something?" And we put our people there, mostly National Guard, but whatever's necessary. And we have crime was down 79% after 2.5, 3 months. And by the way, if they had the brains in Chicago, they'd ask us to go there. We'll solve the problem for them very quickly. We'd go to San Francisco very quickly. San Francisco would be so easy for us. We'd go to New York and help them out. We'd love to help them out. And we'd get crime numbers down 70%, 80%, 90% in a matter of months. We took it in D.C. was really bad. I don't want to go into the numbers in terms of using the word murder, but it was really bad. And it's gone from that to being, we're down 92%. And actually, I'm trying to figure out, the 8%, who they are. One of the things we did, and some people like it, but the numbers speak for themselves. If you really get down, you see drug traffic coming into our country is way down. And by ocean, by the water, a lot of people say, what do you mean by sea? Is it sea, like vision? No, it's the SEA. But it's down 97%. Think of it, 97%. For years, they'd grab a boat and they'd bring him in and they'd see a judge and they'd let him out, and the next day he's back in his country, bring in more drugs in. Nothing worked. We're down nothing. Get worse, worse, worse. Down 97%. And we're trying to figure who the 3% are, because we consider them to be maybe the bravest people anywhere in the world. You look at those boats, pume, pume, and you feel terribly, except for one thing. Those boats, 25,000 people die from Just a couple of those boats, think of it, from drugs, ruin families, ruin everything. And when you see that, you say, thank you very much. But drugs coming in by sea are down 97%. And now we've started the land force, which is much easier. And you'll hear some complaints from some people in, like representatives from Mexico and other places. But if they're not going to do the job, we're going to do the job. And they understand that. So that's sort of the easy one by comparison to the sea. We had to do the sea first. You had no idea how much came in by water, and very little, almost nothing is coming in right now. They don't want to do that anymore. But no one should ever doubt the resolve of America's military moms. They're incredible. From the start of our republic down to today, our nation's been strengthened by the love and devotion and the commitment of incredible women. These are really incredible, you're really incredible women who've served our country, supported our troops, and poured out their care and compassion for this nation that we all love. So I just want to thank everybody, and happy Mother's Day, and God bless you all. Thank you very much. Thank you.
And the president speaking at the East Room of the White House saying, quote, today we're honored to welcome to the White House a group of strong and resilient women who represent the best of our country, the amazing military mothers. So a great event there. We heard from the First Lady, then of course the Commander-in-Chief there. So if you missed any of that, you could always replay it. This all brought to you by mypillow.com/RSBN. Of course, the Mother's Day sale just got kicked off. So you have the $29.98 Giza Dream Sheets. Those are some great sheets, and that's a great price. Also, the pillows there, the queens for these premium My Pillows, $18.98. mypillow.com/RSBN. Also, if you'd like to donate to Right Side, all you have to do is go to rsbnetwork.com/donate, rsbnetwork.com/donate. There was a lot of interviews, a lot of news, a lot of commentary, of course, over the past hour or two. Thanks so much for live streaming in with us here on this Wednesday. It is 1:28, so we're approaching the bottom of the hour. If there's any breaking news coverage, of course, we'll be here for it. Also, we upload various videos across all of our social platforms. So thanks for subscribing. Thanks for following and liking and all the things as we continue to cover the 24/7 news cycle. I'm Matthew Alvarez. This is RSBN. We'll see you again soon.